30 years ago, humanity agreed to not compromise the needs of future generations. Since then, extraction of natural resources has more than doubled. What does the majority of society think about climate change?
There is a cooling and there's a heating. I mean, look, it used to not be climate change. It used to be global warming, right? That wasn't working too well because it was getting too cold all over the place. The ice caps were going to melt. They were going to be gone by now, but now they're setting records, okay? They're at a record level.
This is the plain truth, Mr. President, and it is terrifying.
You are my best friend and we've got some things to do.
Would you allow me to show my concern about maintaining your well-deserved prestige and to point out that your star, which, until now, has shone so brightly, risks being dimmed by the most shameful and indelible of stains? As for myself, I have not despaired in the least of the triumph of right. I repeat with the most vehement conviction, truth is on the march and nothing will stop it. Today is only the beginning, for it is only today that the positions have become clear. On one side, those who are guilty, who do not want the light to shine forth. On the other, those who seek justice and who will give their lives to attain it.
The destruction of human civilization.
I said it before and I repeat it now. When truth is buried underground, it grows and it builds up so much force that the day it explodes, it blasts everything with it. We shall see whether we have been setting ourselves up for the most resounding of disasters yet to come. The uncomfortable truth is that overconsumption is a major factor in climate change. Joe Paoletti, a University of Maryland professor who studies clothing trends, says, "The US apparel industry today is a $12 billion business, and the average American family spends about $1,700,000 on clothes annually, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's an entire process from the raw material to the making of fibers into yarn, and then into fabrics, to manufacturing them into clothing and transporting it to where it's sold. There are energy costs all along the way, and energy expenses don't stop once the garment reaches the consumer. A study by the Institute of Manufacturing at Cambridge University found that 60% of the greenhouse gases generated over the life of a simple t-shirt comes from the typical 25 washings and machine dryings. A typical washing machine emits 160 pounds of carbon dioxide each year. A closest dryer puffs out 700 pounds. And that's not even taking into account the environmental toxins used in traditional dry cleaning. We wonder why the world's workshop, China, surpassed the United States as the largest emitter of greenhouse gases on Earth in 2007. But if you consider that nearly all of the products that China produces, from iPhones to t-shirts, are exported to the rest of the world, the picture looks very different. Another ethical question that arises from the cheap overconsumption on the apparel industry is whether the money is spent on need or on waste. The answer is largely waste. In 1930, the average American woman owned 9 outfits. Today, that figure is 30 outfits, one for every day of the month. The planet's average surface temperature has risen about 1.1 degrees Celsius since the late 19th century. The Greenland and Antarctic ice sheets have decreased in mass. Glaciers are retreating almost everywhere around the world, and the global sea level rose about 20 centimeters in the last century. Heat waves are more frequent worldwide because the rising sea level makes storm surges capable of much greater damage. Are we really ready to give up our Earth for another t-shirt?
ACCUSE, Angela Merkel, Theresa May, Emmanuel Macron, and all other politicians of complicity, at least by mental weakness, in one of the greatest inequities of the century. I accuse the major global science organizations, including IPCC and IRP, of conducting a villainous inquiry, by which I mean a monstrously biased one, as attested by the latter in the report that it is an imperishable monument to naive impudence. I accuse ExxonMobil of submitting reports that were deceitful and fraudulent. I accuse the West of not being heretical, of complicity with their desires and the leaders. We have given up our reason and autonomy and offered it at the table. I accuse the politicians of promising everything, doing nothing, but looking like they're doing everything. We have trusted you too much. We have assumed that you would be dealing with this existential crisis. You have wanted all the power and none of the responsibility.
It used to be global warming, right? That wasn't working too well.
I accuse the world of pursuing the me and the more, the new and the now. I accuse the media of leaving people uninformed and misinformed. Democracy depends on an informed electorate. I accuse advertising agents of exploiting our weaknesses, our craving for security and identity, our need for affection and community, and stuffing it with plastic products. I accuse the social media, including Facebook, of using our innate need for and trust in friends to materialize our happiness, causing ever-increasing extraction of limited natural resources. I accuse the invisible hand of the market for handing us millions of recycling bags so that our hands were too full to pick up a banner in protest. I accuse the richest nations of the world of dumping your carbon into the atmosphere for everyone to share. But you refuse to share the real burden. You offer compensation to nations that are so desperately poor that they cannot say no. They lose their entire country to sea level rise, and you get to bleach your conscience off the stain. I accuse our government of destroying our future, of violating my human rights. Their ongoing failure to stabilize greenhouse gases in the atmosphere and to stop the relentless rise in extraction of limited natural resources interferes with my and my children's right to life, my and my children's right to property, and my and my children's right to a private and family life. I accuse our society of wanting more than we have, we think we need. And when we think more than we want, our thoughts begin to bleed. We think we need to find a bigger place, because when we have more than we think, we need more space. 30 years ago, humanity agreed to not compromise the needs of future generations, us. Since then, extraction of natural resources has more than doubled. I have but one passion: to enlighten those who have been kept in the dark in the name of humanity, which has and will suffer so much and is entitled to happiness. My fiery protest is simply the cry of my very soul. I said it before and I repeat it now. When truth is buried underground, it grows and it builds up so much force that the day it explodes, it blasts everything with it. We shall see whether we have been setting ourselves up for the most resounding of disasters yet to come.